Hello, folks. Welcome to my YouTube channel once again. So now I'm going to discuss about the procedure-oriented style of programming and the object-oriented style of programming. My dear friends, where do we use this procedure-oriented style of programming and where do we come across this object-oriented style of programming is the question. Coming to procedure-oriented programming. First of all, procedure-oriented programming is used, it is mainly used in C programming language, isn't it? Now, whenever we talk about procedure-oriented programming, what do we mean? What do we mean? Now, before explaining this, let me take you through, one of the realistic or real life example. Now, what does procedure-oriented style of programming? Where do we actually use practically? My dear friends, practically speaking, suppose we go to a mart, any of the mart, D Mart, or any of the shopping marts as such. Suppose we have a list of commodities that we have to purchase. Supposing we have to purchase a milk, supposing we have to purchase a few eggs, supposing we have to purchase few grams, something like that. Now, I would have listed these 3 to 4 items in my list, and I would have taken it to DMart to purchase all of these items. My dear friends, now for buying a milk, what we do, we follow a certain set of procedures, isn't it? We follow a certain set of procedures. Now, for buying a milk, what we do, we just go to the mart, we just go near the fridge, open the fridge, then just look at the expiry date of the milk on top of the packet, and then we just take out that milk packet buy. I mean, not buy actually. We just take out that milk packet and put it in the bag. Right. Now coming to the actual eggs. Now, whenever we have to buy eggs, what we do? We go to the mart. After going to the mart, again, what we do? We just check for broken eggs or something like that. And we just go on to select few fresh eggs, get those eggs and put it onto bag. Finally, again, grams also, we just look into expiry date, all these things we do. Now, for each of these items, we have a particular set of procedures, isn't it? For each of these items, we have a particular set of procedures. This is called as procedure-oriented style of programming. Now, more technically speaking, we are going to divide the large complicated task into set of small simple subtasks. Now, my dear friends, more technically speaking, or whenever we are talking in terms of programming paradigm, each of the main program will have, each and every C program will have set of functions, Now, each of these functions are called as procedures. Now, there will be a main function followed by a set of user-defined functions. If at all the user has to access those user-defined functions, he has to provide a function call in the main program. Now, what happens in case of the actual procedure-oriented style of programming is, now in case of procedure-oriented style of programming, there's a free movement of data between the procedures or the functions. There is a free movement of data between the functions. Now, since there is a free movement of data between the functions, this leads to data corruption. There is no data security between the functions. That is why this is the main disadvantage that is associated with procedure-oriented style of programming. So dividing the large complicated task into set of small simple subtasks. Now, this is the main disadvantage that is associated with procedure-oriented programming. Now, what is the disadvantage we identified here? In fact, we identified something called as data security. There is no proper data security in case of procedure-oriented style of programming. So, to overcome this drawback, that is, to provide the necessary data security for a program, the concept of object-oriented style of programming was introduced. So, what is this object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming is such a style of programming in which, there will be, there will be a class. Everything is encapsulated within a class. And within a class, there will be few member functions. And if at all, a member function has to access the data member, if at all, now within the class, there will be member functions and data members. And outside the class, there will be a set of non-member functions. If at all a non-member function has to access these data members, it cannot do so directly. It has to contact member functions. Further, member functions have to access the data members, and this is how they indirectly communicate and access the data member. Member functions will access the data member, and further non-member functions will contact these member functions and access the data members. So this is the added security that is provided in terms of object-oriented style of programming. Now, whenever we talk about object-oriented programming, there are four pillars of object-oriented programming. So what are these four pillars of object-oriented programming? So we have abstraction, we have encapsulation, we have inheritance, and we have polymorphism. My dear friends, let me take a simple realistic example that we have seen in the actual social life. Now, whenever we talk about this, the actual object-oriented programming, so what happens? Now we have something called, let us take a simple, very realistic example. Now everyone knows God is such a forgiver, and he's such a he gives everything, whatever, he provides a lot of blessings to humans, not only to humans, to everyone on this globe. God's blessings are very much required, isn't it? Now what God did in the first go, God created what? Humans, isn't it? God created humans, right? Now, there are now, apart from these four pillars of object-oriented programming, now, which are the basic four pillars of object-oriented programming? They are nothing but abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. Now, apart from these four pillars of object-oriented programming, we have two more, like class and objects. Now, coming back to the understanding of these four, the six pillars of object oriented programming. Of course, basically there are four pillars. Apart from that, there are two more things: classes and objects. Now, coming to this object oriented programming, so what is now, whenever we talk about class, let us talk about class. Now, God created humans, isn't it? Now, human is a class here. God created human beings. Human beings is a class. Now, whenever we talk about human beings have various attributes or data members, like eyes, nose, ears, tongue, teeth. All these are nothing but data members: hands, legs, okay, head. All these are data members. Now, whenever we talk about member functions for a class human beings, what are the member functions? That means what behaviors humans can possess, or human beings can possess. Human can walk, talk, sleep. These are all functions. Isn't it? So this is nothing but a class. There is some class called human beings, and this class was created by the person, sole proprietor, that is God. Now, this is what is the concept of class. Now, let me talk about inheritance. Now, coming to inheritance, human beings were segregated into men and women, isn't it? Again, see, inheritance is, again, the terminology inheritance, it's very simple. Something you are going to fetch from the the higher grade class, or something that is derived from the higher grade class. That is nothing but actually inheritance. Something that is inherited from the superclass, something that the subclass inherits from the superclass, can be called as inheritance. Now, whenever we are talking about inheritance, okay, human beings were divided into men and women. Now, my dear friends, both these men and women, they inherit from the class human beings. Correct or not? Yes, they inherit from the class human beings. Now, both men and women both have, whatever data attributes that are provided for human beings, all these are inherited by both men and women. That means they will have both men and women class will have access to data members of human beings. Now, coming to member functions of class men and women, we have, again, women can give birth to babies. All these things are there. Now, coming to men actually, they can go for a work, employment. All these things are there. Based on different categories, we can use different functions. We can define different behaviors or functions. This is what is the concept of inheritance. Now coming to encapsulation. Now whenever I talk about encapsulation, now I told, now in fact I would have included a few member functions within a human class, like humans can sleep, humans can talk, walk, all these things. What are the data attributes that are provided? Data attributes that are provided are eyes, nose, ears, tongue, all these, isn't it? Now if at all human beings have to, follow all these procedures, if at all human beings have to walk, they have to use legs, isn't it? Now human beings have to walk, in the sense, now walking is done with the help of legs. That means whatever necessary functionalities that is to be taken care of by these member functions, they are done with the help of data members. For example, human beings walk with the help of legs, human beings sleep with the help of eyes, human beings talk with the help of mouth. This is what is encapsulation. That means the behavior of the class, or the functionalities of the class, and the data members or the attributes of the class are bound together within the class. This is the concept of encapsulation. Now coming to the concept of abstraction. Now what do we mean by abstraction? Abstraction is nothing but, now the God would have provided various features for both men and women. See, both men and women, they can talk to each other. Men and women can talk to each other. But has the God really revealed how actually, now a particular, supposing if a person is speaking to another person, he or she or both of them, if they are speaking, the person is going to listen to person A is going to listen to person B, and person A is going to respond back to person B. Okay, now he would think, person A would think, supposing person B has posed some question, person A would think, what I need to answer for this question. All these things, he would analyze it within his brain, and he would give back the response. Correct or not? He would give back the response. Now, how internally is this? How internally is this, neural network? How internally is this happening within the neural networks of both man and both the person, that is person A and B, is what matters. So this is what is called as abstraction. That means internally what actually is happening when both of them are speaking to each other, what actually is happening internally in their mind. This is not revealed by the actual, the God has not revealed this, how internally the functionality is going to take place. Rather, only they are talking, that's it. That is only, the outer world knows, only knows that much. But how, what actually is happening in the neural networks of the brain of both these persons is not shown by, these people, is not shown by this, is not shown by God. This is hiding the details of implementation from the actual, this thing. This is what is from the actual, functionality. This is what is called as abstraction. So that's all for now. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.